What's up, guys? Welcome to Promotech. Thanks for tuning in. Google is about to launch the Pixel 11, and the marketing looks incredible. New chip, smarter AI, a flashing new lighting feature. But underneath all of that excitement, Google is quietly making hardware compromises that could seriously hurt real-world users. And the worst part is, most people won't realize it until they've already bought the phone. Let's dive right into the video. So let's start with the thing Google is loudest about right now. Pixel Glow. RGB lighting on the camera bar. And look, on the surface it sounds fun. Glowing notifications, charging indicators, camera effects. Google clearly wants this to be the visual identity of the Pixel 11, the same way nothing made glyph lights their signature. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Google is spending marketing energy on a light strip, while the actual hardware story underneath is full of question marks. And that tension between flashy surface features and quieter internal compromises is exactly what this video is really about. Because let's talk about RAM, and this is where things get genuinely strange. The Pixel 10 Pro launched with 16 gigabytes RAM across the board. Leaked configurations for the Pixel 11 Pro suggest Google may offer both 12 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes versions. That means in 2026, you could actually buy a Pixel 11 Pro with less memory than last year's model. Now think about what Google is simultaneously promising. Aggressive on-device AI, smarter processing, faster voice tools, real-time translation. All of those features are memory-hungry by nature. Google is essentially building a more demanding software experience while potentially shrinking the hardware headroom to run it. The reason is almost certainly rising RAM costs globally. But instead of absorbing that cost like Samsung did with the S26 price increase, Google is passing the confusion directly to the buyer, making you choose between configurations without fully explaining what you're giving up. Then there's the Tensor G6 chip, and this is genuinely the most interesting part of the Pixel 11 story. CPU performance could take a massive leap. Newer ARM cores, clock speeds pushing past 4 GHz, manufacturing on a 2 nanometers process. Early estimates suggest single-core performance could improve by around 40%. That's not a small bump. Daily tasks, camera processing, app performance, all of that should feel noticeably faster. But the GPU situation tells a completely different story. Leaks point to a PowerVR architecture focused on efficiency over raw power, which means Pixel 11 could actually become more efficient during gaming without becoming better at gaming. Snapdragon and MediaTek are pushing console-level graphics and stronger ray tracing. Tensor is optimizing for battery life during games it still can't run at ultra settings smoothly. That's a fundamental strategic difference, and buyers who care about gaming need to understand it clearly before they spend their money. And then there's the modem situation, which most coverage is completely ignoring. Previous Pixel phones have faced consistent complaints about battery drain, overheating, and weak signal stability, and a large chunk of that traces back to Samsung's modem inside Tensor chips. Leaks now suggest Tensor G6 could switch to a MediaTek M90 modem. If accurate, this is actually the most impactful real-world upgrade in the entire Pixel 11 lineup. Better signal, better battery, less heat. Not glamorous. Won't trend on tech Twitter. But it's the kind of change that makes a phone genuinely livable over 2 or 3 years. That's what Promotech is here to tell you. Speaking of having the right information, if you're someone who tracks these hardware sourcing details before committing to a purchase, Walverse organizes exactly this kind of component-level research across launches, so you're not flying blind when reviews hit. For the kind of viewer who wants to understand what's actually inside a phone before buying it, it's worth knowing about. Real quick, over 70% of you watching aren't subscribed. This channel isn't for everyone. It's specifically for people who want the layer underneath the announcement. If that's you, subscribing just means you don't miss the next one. Here's what I want to leave you sitting with. Google is building the Pixel 11 as an AI-first device. But AI ambitions running on potentially reduced RAM, a GPU that prioritizes efficiency over power, and camera software doing the heavy lifting while sensors stay largely unchanged. That's a very specific bet. It might pay off brilliantly if Google's software execution is flawless. Or it might expose exactly why hardware foundations still matter more than marketing language. The real answer won't come from leaks. It'll come from day 60 reviews when the honeymoon period ends and real-world usage tells the actual story. Take care and stay safe. I'll see you in the next one soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.